Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Let's see. I think I'm live. I think it looks like I am live. Let's have a look. Yes, we are live. Hi, everyone. Hello, hello. And welcome to my very first live Instagram session. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm super excited and I'm a little bit nervous, I have to say. But thank you all for being here. And today I have a very special guest with me. His name is Kerry. He's another English teacher. And today we're going to talk to you about ways to avoid stress when learning English or any other language. This can be helpful for any languages. So without further ado, I'm going to invite our lovely teacher to come in. So if you just bear with me for a second, I'm going to accept. And let's see if Kerry is joining us. Hello. Let's have a look.
Hello, Pam.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Kerry.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm just fine, thank you. And you?
I'm great. I'm so nervous.
Don't be nervous. You're doing fine. You're doing really good. I remember my first live. I was really nervous too. So.
I can imagine. But now you are very experienced in this live on Instagram, right?
Well, yeah, I've been on a few times, but not a lot. Probably about 10 times, I think.
10 times. Well, that's more than once. So you're already further ahead.
Yeah.
So how
Okay.
are you today? How are you doing?
I'm pretty good now. Pan, where do you live?
Well, currently I live in Spain. I'm in Seville. At the moment, it's 4 o'clock here in the afternoon.
Right.
And what about you?
Well, I live in Brazil, and I live in the northeast of Brazil, and right now it's noon, so we're 4 hours different. You're 4 hours ahead of me.
Oh, wow.
But you're not from Spain. My wife said you're from Cyprus, I think.
That's right. I'm not from Spain. I'm from Cyprus.
Are you from the Greek side or the Turkish side?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I'm from the south of Cyprus. Okay. It's the Greek Cypriot side, as we call it.
Okay.
Whoops, my phone keeps moving. Actually, shall we introduce ourselves officially?
Yes, let's do it.
Do you want to go first? Thank you so much for being here, by the way. Thank you so much for participating. And yeah, before we start,
my pleasure. I love the opportunity to be able to teach students and also to talk to another English teacher. So, my name is Kerry, and I'm from the United States. I was born in a city called Salt Lake City, and that's kind of in the middle of the west of the United States in the mountains. And so my hometown in the winter has beautiful mountains with lots of snow, and you can go skiing. In the summer, it's a hot city because it's also a desert, and so the temperature ranges from 40 degrees Celsius in the summer to negative 20 in the winter. So,
wow, that's a
yeah.
big difference, huge difference.
Well, I'm married, and my wife is from Brazil. I have one daughter, and I'm a grandpa. I have a granddaughter. Okay. And my wife and I, we moved to Brazil about 30 years ago. So where I live now is completely different from where I lived before. We live in a tropical climate, and it's the same temperature all year round. The only difference between winter and summer is it rains more in the winter. That's about all.
Right.
Okay.
Wow. And also, sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
How many languages do you speak?
Well, fluently, English maybe. That's debatable. Portuguese, I speak a little bit of German.
Wow.
I know a few words in a number of different languages. I know 3 words in Arabic, and so I know a couple words in Chinese, I know a couple words in Japanese, I know a few words, but only words, not complete sentences. Okay.
Right. That's pretty
Um,
cool.
Basically, where my students are from, I always ask them to teach me something, and so
Yeah,
so
that's
yeah,
always very interesting to know a little bit of each language, right?
yes,
And
yes,
then you're
it is.
able to understand a little bit about the students. So I think that's quite fascinating.
Well, it's interesting when I'm talking to a student from Saudi Arabia, for example, and he says hello, and I say salam alaikum. Okay, and they, whoa, wow, you speak Arabic? No, that's all I know.
Yeah, you just trick them into thinking that you know it. But well, good,
Exactly.
good, amazing. So
Well, now it's your turn. Introduce yourself to us.
well, just some quick information about me. My name's Pan, as some of you may know. I'm an online English teacher. This is my full-time job at the moment. I've worked in different English schools around Seville. Seville is the city where I live at the moment in Spain. I worked in a primary school with little children, with adults, different ages. But at the moment, I am only teaching students one-on-one, private classes online. And well, of course, in my free time, I do all of the Instagram videos and reels and all of the extras. And well, as I said before, I come from Cyprus. It's a little country, a small island in the Mediterranean. I left Cyprus when I was about 18, 19 years old, and I moved to the UK, which is where I studied. I was there for about 5 years, and this is where, well, I was in Brighton, I was in Cambridge for a year, I lived there for a while, and then I ended up in Seville, which is where I am now. And this is
I
all about me.
I can hear your British accent, definitely.
There's a bit of it in my accent, right?
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely.
Uh-huh.
And well, let's talk a little bit about our topic. Yeah. So in
Yes.
today's well, by the way, I can see some comments underneath. I'm new at this, so you're gonna have to bear with me. Um, let's see. Wow, we have a lot of people here. Somebody said, "Hi, I'm from Cyprus." Well, somebody watching from Cyprus.
Okay.
Somebody saying, "I'm Angolan." Why? Hello, hello. Let's see. Brazil is a tropical country. That's a question for you, Kerry.
Well, it depends on where you live. I live in the Northeast, and so yes, it's very tropical. If you live in the south of Brazil, it's more temperate.
Right, right. Oh, can you hear me, Kerry?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, fantastic. I lost you for a second. Fantastic. Well, so guys, if you have any questions, any more questions, feel free to write them in the comments. We'll try to reply to them maybe towards the end or while we're giving you all of the tips.
Just a
And
little bit of just one thing. Let me interrupt just for a
sure.
second. At the bottom, there's a button they can click on that is a question mark.
Oh yeah.
And if they put their question there, you'll see it come on your screen, and you can call it out, and it'll put it on the screen. And so we can see just that one question. Okay?
Fantastic.
And
Fantastic.
so you can share the question with everybody.
Oh, thank you so much. You're being very helpful and very supportive, Carrie. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And then I think I can also turn off the request to go live, right, over here. Well, today is just going to be me and you, and maybe in a future live we can get people to have a conversation with us and students to
Sure.
practice. But today we're going to focus on stress and anxiety and nerves and all of these dreadful feelings. And well, just to have a conversation and give you some tips to help you feel a little bit better when you're learning English or any other language. So, well, right, shall we get on with our tips? We're going to go in turns, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you if I'm
I'm kind of old-fashioned, so ladies first. There you go.
Oh, here. Yeah, right. So I'm going to be getting the points on the screen so you guys can see what we are talking about, and then I'll just be switching it back for us to explain everything. So, tip number 1, embrace your mistakes, right? Embrace your mistakes. Kerry, don't you think this is a cliche as well? A little bit of a cliche.
It's a bit of a cliche, but it's a very important cliche because that is one of the things that hinders English mostly, is being afraid to make mistakes.
Exactly. So I think this fear of making mistakes, of people feeling that people are going to judge us and, laugh at us when we're talking or whatever we're doing, right? Not just speaking a language. I think it just causes all of these unwanted feelings. But, well, I think it's just accepting that everybody makes mistakes. We all make mistakes, regardless of our level, whether we are beginners, intermediate, advanced speakers, native speakers of any language. We all make mistakes, right?
Right, absolutely.
It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. So I think that if we accept the fact that we will make mistakes in conversation, then it's going to just remove a little bit of this stress, and it's going to make us be able to just communicate easier. And I think what I wanted to say about this point is to focus on simplifying our language, communicating, right? Simple little sentences, simple ideas, and, not expecting too much of ourselves, right? And that's pretty much it.
Yes.
It's as simple as that, right?
I agree with you 100%. We need to have a little bit of a sense of humor while we're learning a language, because we're going to say some really stupid things sometimes. And so I was learning Portuguese, and a friend of ours was going to live next to us. And I had learned a word in Portuguese, but I used a different form of it that sounded different. And what I ended up saying was, instead of saying this guy is going to live next to us, I ended up saying this pervert is going to live next to us.
Oh, God.
And my wife, Kerry, what are you saying? I said, well, isn't that what no, that's not what that means.
You got it a little bit mixed up there, but it doesn't matter.
You have to laugh with it. It's fun.
Exactly. I have a very, very quick anecdote myself, because I also speak Spanish. Right now I'm fluent in Spanish, but I make mistakes every single day. Every single day.
Yo no hablo.
¿Tú no hablas un poco de español?
Un poquito, because Portuguese and Spanish are similar. And so,
very similar. Yeah. Exactly. So basically, when I moved here in Seville and I went to buy a donut, I went to this shop and I went to buy a donut one day, and my Spanish was like minimum, very, very basic, right? And what happened was that when I bought that donut, I was actually really, really hungry and I was looking forward to having my donut. I went there, I bought my donut, I went out of the shop, and when I turned it over, it was off. It had mold on it. It was disgusting. And the first bite I took, I realized that something was wrong. And then I was so frustrated and so angry, and I wanted to go back into the shop and complain, and I couldn't do it because I didn't speak the language. And I was like, oh, this is not good, and in Spanish, of course. And it was so embarrassing. But now I remember that anecdote, and I laugh so much with my husband. I say, oh my God, that was so funny. And
I have one similar in the same type of thing, but I went to my first experience in a bakery was to ask for bread. In Portuguese, the word bread has like a little squiggly line over the A, and that makes it a nasal sound. And so it's pão, okay? But Americans usually can't say that, so I was saying pau, okay?
Right.
And pau in Portuguese means stick.
Wow.
And so I would like some sticks, please, if you don't.
Oh, God. There's always going to be like these funny moments, and at the moment they feel pretty stressful, right? And it feels quite embarrassing, but it doesn't matter. So this is all I have to say about my first tip. It doesn't
Very good.
matter. Don't worry. You will make mistakes. So just embrace them, be friends
Have
with your
fun with them.
mistakes, and have fun with them. Exactly. Right. Shall we move on to the next tip?
Yeah. The next tip would be consistent. Okay.
Right.
I believe this is a very important part of learning English. Yeah, being consistent. Um, it doesn't mean you have to spend all day long, every day studying English, okay? But what it does mean is you need to find a time slot in your busy schedule, and you need to dedicate it to English, okay? And make it so that it's a habit. It's something that you do as a habit every day. Even if it's only 10 minutes, I mean, I would prefer a half hour, but 10 minutes, if you only have 10 minutes, find that spot, block it out for your English studies, and keep that for studying English, okay? But be consistent, okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. That will help you to progress a little at a time, okay? Maybe you want to progress a lot, but that's not how languages happen, okay? Languages happen a little bit at a time. Okay. And so be
Exactly.
consistent. That's my suggestion. Okay.
Absolutely. And just a little comment on this one. Sometimes, I have a lot of students who are super busy. They don't have time to study, to do any homework. And I'm sure the same happens to some of your students, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And they say, oh, Pan, I don't have time to study. Like I'm progressing, but it's a very slow process, right? And I would like it to be faster. And I say, guys, you don't have to dedicate ages and hours of studying if you don't have the time, if this is not really your priority, because maybe for some people English is not the priority, right? Or maybe and the thing is, like, if you don't study, if you never study, if you never dedicate any time, if you dedicate 0 minutes, this means zero practice, right? Zero progressing. So even if you dedicate 5 minutes per day, just 5 minutes per day, it's more than zero, right? So I think it's super important to be consistent. Okay, let's move on to the next point. The next point is memorize basic sentences. Memorize basic sentences. Right. What do I mean by that? So, like when the first few things that we learn when we start learning English are the basic little phrases like, how are you? How old are you? Everybody at some point knows how to say all of these little sentences. They're very basic, but we almost learn them. We learn them very naturally, and then we are able to express them very naturally without really thinking, right? So the idea is we find some basic sentences that we're going to need in any kind of situation, in different kinds of context, and really, really repeat them off by heart. So I'm going to give you some examples. For instance, a very, very common example is, do you mind repeating that? Do you mind repeating that? So if you every day when you wake up in the morning, I don't know, whatever you do during the day, you just walk around the house and just say it out loud, but not just in your head, right? Actually producing the language and saying, do you mind repeating that? Do you mind repeating that? And you kind of like change your tone as well to get more comfortable with this expression. Next time you need to tell somebody to repeat something, it's going to come out almost naturally without even realizing. Yeah. Right? So a couple of other examples. For instance, if you're on a call or online, a Zoom call with a teacher or in a meeting, you can memorize things like, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Or I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Little sentences. Just make sure you know these basic sentences, and then it's going to help you also be more confident, right? Be more confident. And also it's going to help you get rid of this stress eventually when you know them off by heart, right?
Excellent, yeah.
Okay.
Many times I call these things like classroom English too. We things like, teacher, I don't understand. Teacher, what does this mean? Okay, yes. What does blah, 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 blah mean? Okay. Teacher, what's that word? I don't understand that word. Okay. these are some things that you can memorize, yes, and they will help you when you need them, especially when you're in an environment of learning. Okay,
Exactly.
and that's what you're doing when you're studying English. You're learning. Okay, you're in an environment of learning. So always ask
Absolutely.
for help. Yeah, when you need it, ask for help. But that's one of the other points. Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, that's one of
Yeah.
the, it's coming up soon. Let's go to the next point. Tip number 4. I'm going to get it up on
Okay.
the screen. Here we go.
All right. This one is read with the purpose and keep a reading journal. I learned this many years ago when I was in high school. Um, I wanted to take a course of advanced English. And so I signed up for it. When I arrived in the course room, it was the teacher, a whole bunch of books, and she put us all on one. We weren't in chairs. We were on like a bench, okay, like it was some kind of, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but we were all together, and she said, okay, in this room, you're going to read. Okay, that's what you do. You come to class, you pick out a book, and you read it. Okay? As you're reading, you're going to take notes in your notebooks, okay, about information, words that you don't know, vocabulary, things like that. And you're going to write how you feel. Okay, this is a diary or a journal of your English reading. Okay, how does the book make you feel? How do you feel today? Okay, you're going to be able to relate how you feel to how much English you understand and how much you learn. Okay, but I think it's very important that they keep a notebook as they're reading. And when you find a word you don't know in English when you're reading, don't look it up in the dictionary immediately. Okay, just write it in your notebook. And then, very important, write what you think it means. Okay, try to guess by the context. Okay, before you look it up in the dictionary, try to guess what the word means. Okay, and continue reading. When you're finished reading, close your book. Now you can confirm your words in your notebook. Okay, but even if you have to guess in your language what you think it is, write it down. Okay, when you confirm, of course, you can put the correct answer. Okay, or you go, hey, I guess. Okay, yeah. Guessing in English is a very, very important tool that you'll have. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Looking at words that may be similar to your own language. There are a lot of those in English. Okay. Looking at words by the context. You know it's talking about something. Okay, and you think you know what it is. Okay. So when you're reading, don't just read. Okay. Read to learn. Okay. And to do this, keep a journal. Okay. I believe that reading is the key to vocabulary. Vocabulary is probably the most important thing you can learn in English. Grammar is important, but if grammar just helps you put the things together. Okay, the vocabulary is what's going to make you fluent in the language. Okay, even Americans, like you said, even Americans, native speakers, they make grammatical mistakes all the time.
For
Okay?
sure, for
Oh
sure.
yeah, yeah.
We all, in all languages, it doesn't matter, honestly. Like, we do make mistakes all
Well,
the time.
I'm going to sing for you one of the most famous grammatical mistakes of all time. Okay?
Let's see.
It's by the Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger, and he said, I ain't got no satisfaction. That's a double negative, and ain't is not a word in English.
Exactly.
Yes. I
That's a good
ain't
one.
got no, yeah, that's
I
really
ain't got.
bad English. Yeah.
Okay, exactly, exactly. Oh, there's a lot of examples. There's a lot of examples of songs, and wow,
Oh,
it's
yeah, 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 yeah.
that
And
was a good
so,
one.
grammar you learn so that you're not misunderstood, okay? But vocabulary is the basic blocks of your language. And so you need to get as much vocabulary as possible, okay?
Absolutely.
So,
Definitely. Thank you
and
so much for this tip.
reading for
Actually,
me is the number one thing.
definitely. You know what? I'm really bad at reading. I don't read a lot. I'm really bad at reading books. I
No, no,
never get
when
to
I say
finish
reading,
books.
it's not just books, okay?
Right.
Magazines, comic books, online posts, things like this. Everything is in English. Another idea that would help you is when you install programs on your computer, install them in English.
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Anything, even like, these comments, for example, like just looking at the comments and reading them aloud, even, that
Yes.
can also help, right? Reading
Yeah.
aloud as well.
That's right.
Great. Actually, sorry, before we go to the next tip, there's this question that popped up over here. How can I get it to... Oh, there you go. Can you see it? Is it up on the
Well,
screen?
I don't know. My comments aren't working right now, but go ahead. It
Oh,
probably showed up on everybody else's screen. If it's on your screen, it'll show up.
all right. Fantastic. So, well, thank you again for helping me out. This is my first live, guys. If you weren't here at the beginning, you would know, but this is my very first live, and so I'm still learning. I'm in the learning process. So, somebody asked, could I say that I have some new for you? Could I say that I have some new for you? Not exactly sure what so here, do you mean if you can say some and then new? Because I think I can see a little mistake here is news. The word would be news in plural, right? So yeah, you can say I have some news for you. You couldn't say, for example, I have a new. That wouldn't be correct, right? Some news and that's it. Or news, I have news for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Thank you so much for the question. Let's move on to the next tip. Tip number 5 over here. Right. This is the one I've been doing today in the past few days. Prepare beforehand. Prepare beforehand. What does that mean? When we prepare beforehand, it means we prepare in advance. Before something happens, before you go onto a live session on Instagram, before you meet up with somebody, before you go to an interview, obviously, maybe even before you call to order something, some food, any kind of situation, prepare beforehand. When we are prepared, we are less stressed. We are more prepared. We are prepared. We have the information. We can take some notes on a piece of paper. We can even practice saying the conversation. We can visualize what the conversation would be like. And we just get ready, It's not necessary obviously, we're not going to write down the whole. It's impossible to know what's going to happen in the conversation. We also have to be able to improvise, but there's definitely going to be things that we can prepare beforehand. Questions, maybe even practicing. For example, I have a lot of students who have a very high level in English, and sometimes they realize that they don't know how to do very basic things, like, for example, read their Gmail address. Yeah, read it out and spell it to somebody on the phone, right? This is very, very common. And it's such a simple thing. You can practice with a teacher, you can prepare it beforehand, say to your partner, or, you can get some help to learn how to say correctly and just be ready. Simple and little things, or even maybe how to say your phone number, for instance. You practice again and again and again and again, and you have everything ready. Obviously, when the conversation comes up, when you're in that situation, a lot of things are going to be new. You might not have thought of something beforehand. It's impossible to prepare everything, but I think it really, really helps. I don't know if you agree, Kerry.
100%. I especially like when you said anticipate. Anticipation will help you also understand English a lot more. You need to, for example, when you receive a phone call, before you answer that phone, you usually look to see who it is. Okay. You may imagine what they're going to say. Okay. And so sometimes when we pick up a phone, I know that people don't use regular telephones much nowadays. When you pick up a phone, a person starts saying, blah, 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 I'm here to sell this and this, sell that. And you say, what? I'm sorry, I didn't understand you. Okay. They were speaking your own language and you still couldn't understand them because you couldn't anticipate it. Okay, so anticipation is a very good key to English. Being able to anticipate a situation, what's going to happen. This will help you understand more, and like you said, it will help you to prepare for the situation. A lot of students I have are business students, and they have business meetings that they have to go to. And it makes you very nervous when you have to do a presentation to an American company, and the CEO will be there, and he can fire you.
Oh God.
And so, really, preparation is the key. Okay,
Absolutely.
anticipating the questions and preparing for them. Yeah, very
Exactly. Exactly. Great. I think there's one more question before we go uh, to the next tip. Is it okay to say this is the better option instead of best option? Ooh, thank you. Love your Insta. Do you want to get this one, Kerry?
Sure. Actually, both can be correct. Okay. There's no reason to differentiate between the two. The main difference is when you say this is the better option, that means there are only two. Okay, and you have to select between two. If you say this is the best option, that means there could have been many. Okay, and you selected the one of the many that was the best. But in reality, they come out sounding pretty much the same. Okay.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
just that, if you say this is the better option because you only had two of those options, okay? So,
Exactly. Thank you so much for answering the question. Let's move on to the next tip. By the way, I have no idea what time it is. I have no idea how long we've been talking for. I'm
well,
not
it's
keeping track of time.
12:32. It's 12:32.
Oh,
You've been on for a half hour. We still have time.
fantastic. I'm not in a hurry, by the way. I'm enjoying this
Well,
live actually.
if we don't get to the end of it before we quit, then we can schedule a part two. Okay?
Of course. Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah, the sequel, yes.
Exactly. Part two coming up.
Okay.
Right, let's move
The
on.
the
Yes,
next one
sir.
is, yeah, go ahead and put it on the screen and we'll talk about
Yep.
it. Okay.
Let's go.
Do things that you enjoy in English. Okay. If you don't, English can be very boring. Okay. For example, reading a book that you don't like. Why would you do that? Okay.
Hmm.
When you're reading, always read things that you enjoy. Okay. Make it something that's fun. Okay. English should not be a labor. It should be a pleasure. Okay. You can play games in English. You can listen to music in English. Okay. I noticed that you talked about listening to music in one of your tips. It's a very good tip. Watch TV series, watch movies in English. Okay, you have a remote control. You can stop. You can go back, repeat. You can, you can anything you don't understand. You can go back and you can see it again. Technology has really changed things. When I was younger, when you watched the series and it was over, that's all you saw, and
That's
you
it.
couldn't go back. Yeah, you
Exactly.
couldn't. There's no recording of it. You couldn't go back. Okay.
Right.
But have fun with English, okay? When I was learning German, German is kind of a different kind of language, and it kind of fell into my lap. I wanted to learn Spanish, and when I went to the Spanish class, it was full. And so I decided, okay, since Spanish is full, I'm going to learn French. And I went to the French class, it was full. And the German had lots of room, so I went to learn German.
Wow.
But my friends and I were trying to decide what can we do to use German more outside of class. And so what we did is we would come together at the cafeteria in high school, and we would gossip about everybody in German so they couldn't understand us.
That's so funny.
And
That's hilarious.
we started making German nicknames for people. Okay.
Wow. Well, that's a fun way of learning a language. Definitely fun,
Yeah,
entertaining.
it's a lot of
That's
fun.
it.
Yeah.
Really, really good tip. Thank you so much, actually, for mentioning this. It's so important to have fun. And we, in the process of wanting to be good at something, right, and wanting to be perfect and, getting to the end of it, sort of, we kind of like forget to have fun and enjoy it. And I think we have to like take a step back sometimes and relax and chill and, do fun things. Absolutely.
Yeah, the good part of it is the journey, not the destination.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Wise words. Wise words.
Unless you're traveling economy in an airplane, then it's miserable.
Yeah, not for everybody. Not for everybody.
Yeah.
So, shall we move on to the next tip?
Sure.
The next one, right, the next piece of advice that I have for you is, oh, this one is my favorite one actually. Sing songs, reading the lyrics.
Yes.
Sing songs, right. Here, this is a very fun activity, singing songs. I love singing. I'm not a very good singer. Well, I'm not a good singer at all, actually. I think I'm not terrible at singing, but I think I'm not a good singer either. But this is totally irrelevant. We don't have to be good singers to be singing and to be having a good time.
I'm going to tell you a secret. My wife is a teacher. She loves teaching, and she teaches with music, but she can't sing at all.
She can sing. Exactly. But
She
she's
lets her
brave enough.
students do the singing. She lets the students do the singing.
That's so good. So I also know that you like singing, right? You enjoy
Love it, yeah.
singing.
Sure.
Yeah. So do you ever sing, for example, in the other languages that you speak in, well, in Portuguese? Do you ever sing in Portuguese?
Yeah, of course, Portuguese, yeah, no problem. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Sou caipira, pira por a nossa Senhora de
Wow.
Aparecida. Okay, yeah.
Okay, wow, thank you so much for that. That's so nice. You know what? The reason why I included this tip is because I really think it helps us. Well, it's related to what we said before, have a good time. But when I sing, for example, actually right before the live, our Instagram live, I was playing some songs in the background and I was singing, you know. It's true, I wasn't reading the lyrics, but I was singing because I know that as soon as I listen to a song, my nerves disappear, right? I chill, I forget about whatever I'm about to do and I just focus on the song. It's a good distraction as well. And it just makes me really, really happy to be singing, you know, and to be listening to music. And the most important thing, the reason why I'm saying this and the reason why I'm relating it to learning English or any other language is because when we sing, reading the lyrics aloud, right, producing the language, it just helps us in so many different ways, not just to get rid of the stress and the anxiety and all of those negative feelings, but it also helps us learn a lot of things. And it doesn't matter if we don't really understand every single word in the song, but it really helps us with pronunciation, getting used to different accents, even like the fact that we're actually producing correct grammar. Well, you know, semi-correct in some cases, not 100% correct. I ain't got no, exactly. But well, the majority of the times is correct. So just by producing it, reading it, you've got your paper or your whatever. On Spotify, they've got like this option where you can get the lyrics up. On YouTube, everywhere you've got, you know, at the click of a button, you can get the lyrics up and you can sing along. And I think that this is another good exercise to also do consistently. You get a song that you like. I think average time of a song is about 3 minutes or so. About that, yeah. If you do this every day, you're not only going to feel good and more confident about your English, but you're also going to have a good time and you're going to learn a lot of things without realizing. This is how children learn when they start learning their native language, right? By singing songs all the time. So
there is a site that I suggest that's called Lyrics Training. I don't know if you've heard of that one.
I do. I have.
It's a very good site. It's fun. You actually do a competition with other people in the world to see how well you can complete the sentences. And okay, it's very interesting. It's a good site for doing karaoke too. Karaoke is when you don't have the sound but you sing with it. Okay, and so I like lyrics training. I use it quite a bit.
And if I'm not wrong, you can also choose the level, right? Whether you're a beginner or advanced.
But I always use easy because the other ones, even I can't go fast enough for them.
Right. Yeah, and you can also learn lots of vocabulary. It's quite fun and very useful at the same time, for sure. Right, shall we move on? Oh, I really like this one. I'm going to get it up on the screen. There we go.
Right, be positive. Okay, know that you can do it. Okay, it's something that takes time. Yes, it does. Okay, but it's something that you can do. Okay, be positive. Always have a positive outlook. Okay, in when you're studying English. Okay, if you start feeling down or negative, okay, do something like you said. Listen to music. Sing a song that you like. Okay, read a book that you like. Okay. Um, getting back to books one more time, I have a site that I love. It's called e-reader or something, English Reader,
Oh,
and
yes, I know this one.
there you can choose your level. Always work in your own level. Okay, if you're reading a book that's beyond your level, it's going to create frustration, and that's where the negativity can come from. Okay, of course, if you're reading a book that's too easy or you're listening to things that are too easy, then you don't learn. So you need to get your level. Find out what your level is and look for materials that are in your level. Okay? And like I said, just keep a positive outlook on it, okay? It's not that serious, okay? You're learning a language, you're not, it's not rocket science. You're not going to die if you don't learn it, okay?
True.
Although you may,
Nobody's gonna hold a gun at your
no,
head, right?
Although I've known people who lost opportunities because they didn't have English, so
Well,
and so
yeah, but nowadays I think like it's just become the norm to be learning English. So I think
sure,
everybody is more exposed to the language and yeah, I think it's getting better. Actually, here in Spain, for example, up to a few years ago, like maybe 10 years ago or so, um, everyone was more used to speaking Spanish. Not everybody learned English, and now it's become like one of the priorities. So I think, little by little, everybody's like getting into this rhythm of learning the language,
right,
and yeah, and it's becoming more accepted, and everybody can, also because we have all of these social media and the social networks and everything, there's so much free content and free help, you guys. Like, we're so lucky to have all of this information nowadays, right? So yeah, I think we should breathe and keep learning in a fun way, always.
absolutely, yeah.
Right. Let's go to the next tip. I'm actually not reading any of the comments. I'm really bad at this, actually. Let's see if I can read a couple of comments that we have here very
I don't
quickly.
know why, but the comments stopped on mine. I can't even see them anymore.
All right. I can't. Yeah. Well, you know what? I think I'm just gonna get to the next point because I can't see any. I really don't know how to use this tool, but I think I'm practicing. This is my practicing
Sure.
live, right? Anyway, right, let's get on to the next point. Oh, this is super important. Express your feelings and ask for help. I think you mentioned one of these before. Exactly. Scream at people and tell them how awful you feel about learning English. I'm joking, obviously, but
Help me.
basically, you know what? At the beginning of this live, when I said I feel nervous, I did feel nervous. Actually, I was actually getting quite red. I don't know if you noticed. I was like getting very, but when I said I'm really nervous, when I actually expressed it and I got it out there and I got it out of my system, it made me feel better, and now I already feel better. We're like towards the end of the live, and I totally forgot about my negative feelings that I had before. So express your feelings. I'm going to say a couple of examples that I had in mind. For instance, if you are in a meeting, a professional meeting, or maybe just talking to your colleagues from a different country, you could say at the very beginning or at any point of the meeting, you could say something like, I'm still learning English, so please be patient with me. So be honest, right? I think it's nice to be honest, and I think people appreciate that, right? When you say,
Sure.
when you express your situation, and Or if you say, for instance, oh, when I speak English, I get a little bit nervous. So could you please speak a little bit slower, or could you please slow down a bit? So when you say how you feel, I think people instantly get a bit more empathetic with you. I don't know. I have this feeling, right? When I say how I feel, I think it kind of changes the way people see me in a way.
Yeah, I think that it's perfectly correct for you to say this. You should tell them how you feel. Okay. Of course, you probably, when you're in a meeting, you don't want to allow your negative feelings to come out too much. Okay,
Sure.
but you do need to let them know that, I'm a little bit nervous. This is my first time doing a live, okay? I remember you told me that when we first started, okay? As you express it, like you said, as you tell them how you feel, it's going to actually make you feel better, okay?
Absolutely.
And also you're going to find that they also feel the same way.
True.
And so, yeah, humans are humans. I had one guy that he was sweating and going crazy because he had to talk to his boss online. And he was so worried about his English and everything. I said, you know what? Did you realize that your boss is a person just like you? And he probably gets nervous just like you. And your boss puts his pants on one leg at a time just like you. And he goes to the bathroom just like you, and he smells just as bad as you. Okay? I said, so, don't worry about it. You'll be fine. You'll be okay. Okay. And
Exactly.
he went to the meeting and he was fine. His boss liked him very much, and he understood that his English was limited, and they talked, and it was fine. Okay.
Absolutely. Nothing happened, right? Nothing happened. So
Yeah.
good. And another tip, by the way, is drink water. I'm going to drink a little bit of water and take deep breaths. Take deep
My
breaths.
wife
Drink
always
water.
tells me, drink some water, drink some water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And right, the other point I wanted to say was ask for help, right? I forgot to mention that one. Ask for help when you panic, or when you get to a situation where you just simply don't understand what the other person is saying because of the level, for example, or maybe sometimes it happens that it's just somebody whose accent we're not very used to, for instance. So just ask them to slow down, ask them to repeat, or maybe to repeat sometimes wouldn't work, because if they said the same thing and then we didn't understand the first time, then the second time wouldn't really be helpful either, right? So maybe ask them to paraphrase, to explain that in a different way. Or maybe you can focus on a specific word. You say, for example, do you mind repeating the last word that you said, for instance? Or do you mind repeating the word that sounded a little bit like, when you say more or less what the word sounded like? It can help you. Like,
Ask for
people are
help.
very
By all
helpful.
means, yeah. Yeah. Very good.
Absolutely. So, shall we get to our last point?
Yes.
The last tip is, this is the one.
Yes. Never stop and never give up. Okay.
Exactly.
English is not something that you learn in 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 years. Okay. English is something that you will learn probably for the rest of your life. Okay. So you can never stop, never give up. Now, there is one thing I wanted to make my students aware of, and your students aware of, and that is something called the intermediate plateau. I've read a lot about this. It's a part of English where you have studied just enough that you are intermediate, you understand quite a bit, you can speak a little bit, you can communicate with people fairly well, you can travel with your English, you can probably attend the meeting. You may be afraid to lead the meeting, but you will attend the meeting and participate. But you're just an intermediate student. At that level, many people think, okay, I have enough English, I don't need to learn anymore. Or they start looking back at the past and they decide, wow, I learned English so fast till now, but now I'm studying and I'm learning it so slowly, okay? And they get frustrated and they end up stopping and quitting, okay? You need to get over that point, that's the hardest part of English to get over, okay? Once you get over it, by being consistent and never giving up, okay, then you can go on to fluency, okay? To the point where you can actually dream, think in the language, okay? When you say something, you don't have to think for 1 second. You can immediately start saying what you think, okay? But it takes getting over that point. Now, the reason the intermediate plateau looks like you're going slowly, you're not actually, is because when you begin and you learn 10 words, you have just, you've gone 10 times your language, okay? And when you learn 20 words, wow, you just doubled your language, okay?
Exactly.
When you get to intermediate, you're at about a level of 2,000 words in English. Okay, for you to double it, you have to learn another 2,000, so you're not going to. Okay, you're going to learn another 20. That's only, what, 1%? Okay?
Exactly.
And so you think, I'm only learning 1%? That's so little. But in reality, it's not. It's the same that you were learning before. Okay? It's just that in percentage to what you already know, it seems like very little. Okay? So the progress seems slower at that point. Okay? But just remember this, don't give up, continue studying, continue doing what you've been doing, okay? If you have difficulties continuing, you need to ask for help, like you said before. Not just ask for help in English, but ask for help to keep you motivated and keep you going, okay? Find somebody that can help you. Find a good tutor like you can, okay?
Thank you so much. Or like Kerry, obviously.
Help them going, okay, yeah. But by all means, when you're intermediate, realize that it becomes difficult and you need to get over that. Okay,
Absolutely.
once you do, whoa, you're flying. Okay, you're going off into where you can read unabridged books. Okay, and you can read what an American reads and understand at least 60% of it. Yeah, all right. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was really well explained, and thank you so much for going into detail and explaining everything with so much care. Thank you so much. Actually, these are our tips. I mean, I'm sure there are more tips out there that you can read or listen to and, try to put into practice. But even with these 10 tips, later on when you rewatch the live, you'll have the opportunity, by the way, to rewatch the live or watch it. If you're not watching us right now, you'll watch the replay. I will share it on both of our profiles so everybody can have access to that, and you can take a screenshot of the points and try to remember them, or try to start practicing some of them, right?
Absolutely. And just keep your head up and speak English, okay? Don't be afraid.
Definitely. Before we finish, Kerry, first of all, I'm not gonna read the comments because I'm really bad at this, but next time I promise I'm gonna go live and I'm gonna focus on answering some questions and talking to you guys. We haven't really talked to anybody who is watching us, but thank you so much, everybody, that you've been here and that you've spent this time with us, and hopefully this information has helped you in any way, whatever language you're learning. If you have any questions, feel free to DM us, either of us, right? We can, actually, I've got this on my screen. Look, I'm going to show you over here.
There you go.
Yes, here we are, both of us on the screen. So this is Kerry. You can follow both of his accounts, both of his profiles. Do you actually want to explain very quickly what the first account is?
Well, I can't see it here, but...
Well, it's your AMEC PE profile. Is it not very clear? Yeah.
That's my Instagram, yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, students can follow both of your Instagram pages, right?
Yes. One is for my school. The other one is for me personally, yeah. The school is AMEC PE. AMEC means American English Center.
Fantastic. Great. So, Kerry, before we finish, thank you so much again for joining me. I had a really good time, actually. I'd love to have Thank you so much, honestly, for spending time with me. Do you have any plans for this afternoon, this evening?
Not really, no. Just
No.
watch TV. It's a Saturday. Take it easy, you know.
Just chill,
I
maybe.
I teach all week long, and by Saturday I'm pretty burnt out, so I need to recharge my batteries. So.
Same here. Rest. We're gonna rest and just relax for the rest of the weekend. Thank you so much. I will, in a couple of hours, I will share the live on both of our profiles. Everybody have a lovely evening, a lovely rest of the day, and thank you so much for being here, and see you in the next live, right? See you
Bye,
soon.
Dan.
Bye bye. Thanks a lot.